Hello, Professor Z here. Gary is not here today. I believe that he's doing the TikTok. Honestly, I don't know what you humans find so interesting in the TikTok. Anyway, let's get on with today's topic. Child support and split custody raises several issues. When each parent has custody of one of the children, the child support calculations may have to involve an offset. It's a situation that might seem straightforward at first glance with some, assuming that it means neither parent would have to pay child support to the other. However, the reality is a bit more nuanced than that. The way it's handled is by calculating the child support obligations for each parent and then comparing the figures to see if they balance out. Let me share a couple of examples of child support and split custody to illustrate how this works in practice. Take, for instance, a scenario where there are two children. Let's say the father and mother each take custody of one child, and both parents have an annual income of $50,000. In this case, instead of the child support obligation being 25%, it's adjusted to 17% for each parent towards each child. So, the father's financial obligation to the mother would be $8,500 for the child in her custody and vice versa. Since the amounts are equal, no money actually changes hands. This child support and split custody scenario is very simple and, unfortunately, the least common. Now let's consider a different situation again. There are two children, with each parent taking one. But this time, the father earns $75,000 a year, while the mother earns $50,000. The father's child support payment to the mother would be $12,750, and the mother's to the father would be $8,500. This leaves a difference of $4,250, which logically the father would pay to the mother. However, it's worth noting that the father's attorney might argue for a credit given father's custody of one child. While there is some support for this argument, I've observed courts that choose not to grant such credit. It's quite common for agreements in split custody situations to stipulate that no child support payments are to be exchanged. Yet, it's important to understand that courts will only approve these agreements if the financial obligations are balanced. We've once handled a case where the father was awarded custody of two children and the mother custody of one. The mother earning more than the father led us to negotiate add-ons or additional out-of-pocket expenses she was covering, which justified a no-payment arrangement. A particularly intriguing family court decision highlighted this issue. The situation was where each party waived support for the child in their possession. The father, following an economic downturn, saw his income drop from $95,000 to $32,000. He sought child support from the mother, who was earning $164,000 for the child now in his custody. Despite the significant income disparity, the judge denied the father's request. The rationale was that the mother had already provided substantial support by purchasing a car for the child, covering gas, auto insurance, the child's cell phone bills, and medical coverage. Therefore, the court determined the father was not entitled to additional child support. These examples serve to underscore that child support calculations, particularly in scenarios where custody is split, are complex and highly dependent on the specifics of each case. Call 516-352-2999 for a free 15-minute telephone consultation.